And as long as we hold support here, we are quote unquote good. But if we lose support here, guys, we will fall a lot lower and the drop will be so big, so many people will panic sell. What's up, guys? Almar here. Let's just immediately get into the video, because I have some bearish news, I would say. I mean, I've been bearish the whole time. If you look at my videos right here, guys, all these videos talk about how I still see lower momentum before we reverse further to the upside. And there's actually a lot happening right now. We have, sadly enough, we have the LA fire, 11 dead people so far, but it's not about the dead people. First of all, I do want to bring my condolences to everybody who lost something or someone within this horrible fire. It's truly horrible. But this brings me also to the momentum that a lot of people are now actually, one, losing their home or loved ones, but second of all, they're losing their Bitcoin seed phrase. A lot of people might actually lost all their Bitcoin forever if they didn't save their seed phrase in a secured enough place. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, another thing to keep in mind is the word that I said, or the sentence that I said, people lost their home. Meaning that likely some of these crypto millionaires or crypto holders within LA, Hollywood, or whatever will likely take out some money to buy a new fucking home, which just makes a lot of sense, which can bring some selling pressure to the market because a lot of people lost a lot of things. I mean, if you lose everything, I know how it feels, by the way. I know how it feels to lose your house in a fire. Been there, done that. It's a horrible feeling. It gives you, if I think about it, it gives you the worst feeling ever. It's really like, fuck, I have to start all over again. Everything that I built, gone. And these people will likely, just like I did back in the days, take out some money out of the market and build a new life again. I mean, it just makes the most sense. And it also makes sense in technical perspective, because if we look at the chart, we just perfectly formed a lower high here. We basically printed a lower high here, made a good fake out, trapping people in, again, being bullish, because we closed above the 101K zone, but closure is not enough. We need signs of respectation, signs of support, and that just didn't happen. The next following day, we closed back below with a bearish engulfing candle, and ever since, price is just going down. And if we look at the technical perspective again, we also closed below this level here of 95K, which makes 91K very attractive again, and lower towards 87 to 80 to $78,000. Now, before I say why, I already explained why I have those targets in my mind. First of all, make sure to subscribe as well to the YouTube channel. I want to push myself to 700 and 1,000 subscribers before the mid of this year. So mid 2025, I really want to achieve it. I want to bring out a lot of value for you guys. So make sure to leave a like and a subscribe. I would highly appreciate it. Now let's get back into it. Why do I target the regions that I said between $80 and $78,000? Because of the CME futures gap, guys. These gaps always get refilled, and they get refilled sooner than late. And it's as well healthier if we refill them sooner than late. For example, what we saw here is that we had a gap. We refilled the gap immediately, and now we retested that gap and just rejected. Now the only thing lasting for us is to refill this gap before reversing further to the upside, in my opinion. Of course, I could be wrong. That's why I'm working on key levels, guys. I always pay attention to key levels. If we lose support here, 87K is incoming and likely lower. If we do break back above this zone and hold support, we will very likely climb back towards the 100, 101K levels. It's as simple as that. Everything depends on key levels, and if we break or reject or hold support or whatever, all depends on that. So level by level, we cannot predict the market. It's not because we are forming a lower high here that we will break below this. We might just form a double bottom here and boom, continue further to the upside. But overall, guys, corrections are healthy, and I wouldn't be surprised with the fear going on right now with the fire in LA, but also with the fear of,
God damn it,
the US government, because they have received an approval to liquidate 69,000 Bitcoin, which is worth 6.5 billion, give or take. that they seized from Silk Road back in the days. Now, what makes this intriguing / interesting is that a new administration, which promised to not sell, takes over in less than 2 weeks. So I think from today on, it's 9 or 10 days to go before that new administration takes over. And in those 9 or 10 days, a lot can happen, guys. It's just one bill who has to pass within those 9 or 10 days, and they are officially allowed to sell, and they will sell before that new administration takes over or before Trump enters the office. It's just how my perspective works, and it would not be a bad thing in my opinion. It would just give longevity to the market. Because if you look to history again, because again, I based my whole run from the bear market on to where we are right now based on history. Everything is historically based. But if we look at the former bull markets, every time we broke above all-time high, boom, correction. We break above all-time high, boom, correction. Now we break above all-time high again, and it's likely to expect it to have again a correction. We had a roughly 38% decline here. And here in our first correction, we had a 31%, or let's just round it off, 30% decline. So historically based scene, we could expect that Bitcoin declines with, let's say 30%, which would roughly align with my perspective and my targets of $78,000 to $80,000. Now, another good thing about this first correction in the bull market is once the first correction comes, and then price starts to reverse, this is where Bitcoin dominance starts to top out, and then eventually starts to head lower and altcoins start to explode. The same happened here. We had our first correction. Bitcoin dominance started to top out, and in this momentum all right here that we had a good, very solid alt season, and then the market just started to crash lower. And I do want to see a similar thing happening right now, and perhaps with the fear of Silk Road selling, we could push lower. In combination with the LA fire, it just makes sense for a perfect recipe to see price head a little bit lower. But of course, nothing is assured. Now, a good thing is that so far they haven't touched their Silk Road Bitcoin at all. As you can see here, this address has transacted 110 times on the Bitcoin blockchain. It has received a total amount of 69,370 Bitcoin. Total value 6.5 billion, and has sent a total of 0 Bitcoin, 51 cents. The current value of this address is still exactly the same. So far they didn't do nothing yet. But again, only one bill. I don't know how that all exactly works, but I think they only need one bill to pass, and they are still allowed to sell before the new administration takes over and Trump enters the office. Interesting actually here, this address is owned by the FBI. That's actually very interesting that they, boom, say it there. But that's a little bit of my perspective for the market, guys. And in combination with that Bitcoin goes down, we will see Bitcoin dominance head higher, very likely towards the 63-64% region before collapsing lower and starting an alt season. Because that is what we need. That's the only thing actually that we need is Bitcoin dominance to become very bearish, Ethereum to break all-time high, and it's a perfect recipe for altcoins to explode to the moon. But as of for now, that's not the case. Bitcoin dominance still looks bullish. We still might head higher. If we break above the zone right here, we will touch back around 60-61% and above 63-64%. Now, another thing that's useful is a chart that I do not often talk about, but that I use on a daily basis within my private community. And by the way, guys, make sure to follow me on Twitter, and also make sure to follow me back on Instagram, because sadly enough, my former account got disabled. Instagram disabled my account for no fucking reason. So I had to make a new account while I'm trying to get my old account back. So make sure to follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, as I should post a lot on Twitter, and on Instagram I just place a lot of useful information that I'm sure that you can use in your advantage.
You better do it now.
Now, talking about USDT dominance, this chart is very simple, guys. If this chart, aka USDT dominance, goes up, Bitcoin goes down. If USDT dominance goes down, Bitcoin goes up. It's as simple as that. So it's a perfect indicator to understand what Bitcoin will do or where Bitcoin could go in the next weeks to be. Now, an interesting thing here is, again, I already talked about this on my videos. Make sure to go check them out. They are all right here on my YouTube channel, filled with information for you to use in your advantage. And one thing that we can see is that every time we had a big drop here, we had a big drop of 55%. Boom, boom, 55%. From here to here, 55%. From here to here, 55%. So it's logically for us to expect another 55% drop. So every time this dropped with 55%, BTC just exploded and then eventually topped, found the top once USDT dominance bottomed. Then once USDT dominance went back to the upside, Bitcoin started to bleed. So it's very simple how this works. And historically seen, USDT dominance makes a 55% drop. And once it makes a 55% drop, the top for Bitcoin is likely in. So if we take in calculations, a 55% drop is roughly targeted at 3%. So in my opinion, it wouldn't surprise me that once Bitcoin hits around this zone right here, or perhaps spikes a little bit lower to trap people, but once this happens right here, it wouldn't surprise me that Bitcoin found its stop and will slowly start to reverse back to the downside over time. So keep those targets in mind, guys, and keep this indicating chart in mind, because this chart is really very powerful if you use it correctly. And if you just remind these what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 words, or these 8 words, if you remind this, it can really make you a lot of money, and it can time you with taking some profits out of the market. This is very, very good for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin dominance is very, very good to follow up for altcoins. Because if we look at it from a historical perspective, we hit the historical lows here, boom, altcoins start to bleed. We hit the historical lows here, altcoins start to bleed, and in a bear market. So very likely, once we hit the historical lows again, altcoins will start to top out and start to correct down over time, and a bear market starts. It's simple how these things work, but you just have to follow up with it. You have to be aware of which charts are important and which ones aren't. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Hope it was informative. I'll see you in the next one.